most entrepreneurs are considered to be risk takers from outside.
Yeah, but calculated risk would be like.
Right. But from the inside, they also need a lot of courage. Right? They're always afraid of going out of business. They're always afraid of things not working out. That would be my advice.
Welcome to the Flow Lab, the podcast where we dive deep into the science of building performance and HVAC innovations. Today, we bring you another insightful episode aimed to enhance your knowledge and expertise in the field. Joining us are your co-hosts, Ben Walker, co-CEO of RetroTec, and Sam Myers, a renowned building science specialist and RetroTec trainer. Together, they bring a wealth of experience and knowledge to ensure our discussions are both informative and engaging. So, sit back, relax, and get ready to enter the Flow Lab, where we'll explore the world of building performance. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Flow Lab podcast. I'm Ben Walker. This is Sam Myers.
Hey.
On today's episode, we have Amit Gupta from Aeroseal, the CEO of Aeroseal. Great to get a chance to catch up and see what he's been up to and what Aeroseal's been up to and some of the innovative products and stuff.
Another garage startup success story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. RetroTec supplies an OEM product that Aeroseal uses in their sealing machines and stuff like that. So we've been partnered with Aeroseal for quite some time now. Have a really great relationship with those guys and always excited to kind of see what they're up to.
Aeroseal and their envelope products too, really changed the game about how we can make duct systems and building envelopes tighter. It's a totally new option, and it's really cool to be able to watch that air tightness number drop in real time.
That's a cool product. It's really interesting and definitely a good partnership between RetroTec and Aeroseal on the air tightness side and things like that. So
absolutely
really cool. Get a chance to speak with Amit. And, I recently had run into him at the Building Science Summer Camp last year or this year in Boston. So it's kind of where it all kicked off from and stuff for this podcast.
And you actually went to their facility too and checked it out.
Which is actually really phenomenal. Since last time I was there, they moved into a new building and the growth of the company and staff and everything. A lot of smart people there, and it's a really modern, beautiful building.
Yeah, it's always good when these companies, you can really see some growth happen because I feel like that's just a good indicator for the industry as a whole.
So yeah, let's kick off the episode. Yeah, well, thanks again, for joining us. I know you're a busy guy, that's for sure. The first time that we met was back in, I think, 2013 at ACI show in Denver. I think that's the last time, or the first time that we saw each other, or whatever. That's the first time we had a chance to meet. So yeah,
we've been talking for some time. We knew each other. At least I was talking to Colin from the very beginning, right? As I started the company. When I started talking to Comfort Institute, that I got to know more about RetroTec because we were using energy conservatory stuff from when we started the company, right? And then we slowly shifted to RetroTec.
Yeah. What year did you start the company?
2010.
Oh, 2010. Okay.
September 2010. September 15th.
And then how did you become familiar with the technology and everything? Like, how did you get introduced to the whole idea of the application and the sealing and that kind of thing?
I was part of Carrier, and this technology was owned by Carrier Corporation.
Okay.
It was, I developed a reputation at Carrier that if something is not working, I will fix it, right? So I was that fixer at Carrier. One day, I got a call from the president of North America that there is a technology which has a great potential, but it has never worked at Carrier, and we are losing lots of money, and there is a big earn-out with the inventor, which is attached to it. Let's figure something out. That president of North America was presenting to the CEO of Carrier, the president of Carrier Worldwide, about it.
Okay. In
that figuring it out, what to do with it, is my first introduction to Aeroseal.
Oh, nice. Then the aerosol itself was it was part of research that was done at a university or private research or?
Yeah, so the technology was invented at LBNL, Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratories in California. The inventor, Dr. Mark Madera, was a staff scientist there. And that is mid-90s.
Okay.
So he actually licensed his own technology from LBNL and started the company in his garage in the late 90s.
Another garage story. All the best companies start in garages.
Yeah, exactly.
California and garages, right?
Yeah, exactly. Apple, we know.
That's how it all got started. And I think within 3 years of starting the company, Carrier's really thought that this could be a big competitive advantage for Carrier. Because imagine that every Carrier furnace or an air conditioner, if that is installed with sealing the ductwork,
tremendous amount of
Carrier
benefit.
Equipment would be, they can claim Carrier system is 30% more efficient than
any other system
or
on it.
Linux system, right? So that was the thesis for Carrier to say, the technology, if only available to Carrier dealers, could be a huge competitive advantage. Not only that, they also proved in their due diligence that when dealers are good at selling with the full solution of duct sealing, they were able to close significantly more quotes they're giving to the homeowner. So both the things help them to say, this could be very good for the business, but also this is the right thing for the homeowner, right? You can deliver the system efficiency than just the equipment efficiency.
Yeah, exactly. It solves a lot of problems with the potential indoor air quality, energy efficiency, all those things that we all know about in the industry.
Yeah, that is correct.
So what is the Ghostbusters goo that you guys spray into the buildings? What?
Well, it's a vinyl acetate polymer, very safe material, no off-gassing, no OSHA, requirements for it. Of course, it's almost feels like an almost glue consistency. That's what we have. It's a proprietary material, which is now used in hundreds and hundreds of hospitals and very critical facilities all around the world.
And what's like the largest gap that you can fill with it?
We can fill 5/8 of an inch gap.
Oh, wow.
Normal due course, right? We can fill a bigger gap, but generally the cracks in the ductwork are not really big gaps, right? These are small gaps in the ductwork. If there is a disconnect or if something is broken or something is, if the ductwork is completely separated, then our technology doesn't help, right? Or
sure.
Cannot fix that. Right? Otherwise, if it's any cracks or leaks in the ductwork, we take care of it.
Then, so it started with ductwork, but then you've moved into doing home sealing for houses now and stuff. So then, if there's gaps that are much larger in the houses, then do you have like some protocol to go in there and fill those before you run the aero barrier machine in the home?
That is correct. So what you alluded to is our new technology. So first, after 2010, we started working with University of California. They have a research lab, Western Cooling Efficiency Center, and we started working with them to take the duct sealing technology and evolve into sealing building envelopes as well as sealing underground gas pipelines. So after almost 5 to 6 years of work at the university, the new patents were filed for building envelope sealing as well as underground gas pipeline.
Oh, wow.
And then we licensed those technologies from University of California.
Is there any difference? Sorry. I was just going to ask if there's any difference in between the material that you use for ducts and you use for envelopes, or is it the same stuff?
It is a different material. It's an acrylic-based material, also very safe, no red list items, Green Guard Gold certified by EPA, all that, right, or for UL. So it's very, very safe material.
Yeah, nice.
That's great.
And then when you're, you have to pressure, there's like a pressure differential that's required in order for the material to flow through the cracks, and that's how it starts to attract to each other. That
is correct. So the way to think about how our system works or how our sealing material works or the process works, we pressurize a space, and as we pressurize the space, we inject few micron-sized particles, right? For envelope, we inject, of course, the fog of building envelope material, sealing material, and for ducts, we have the duct seal material. Right? These few micron-sized particles, as they try to, since space is pressurized, as they encounter a leak, they try to escape.
Yeah.
With the pressure differential, the air rushes out of that leak. Right? You can almost imagine if you have a balloon and you do a prick on the balloon, the air literally rushes out of that hole.
Yeah, it's like accelerated through there, right?
Right. So as the air accelerates through that hole, the material, the sealant particle, which is in the air, try to escape that hole, and it takes a sharp turn into the hole, and then it attaches to the edge of the hole. And the second set of particles following that attaches to the first set of particles, and soon enough, it forms the seal. So that's how it works. Now, the magic is controlling the whole environment with airflow, temperature, humidity, controlling the speed of the material, the size of the material, the tackiness of the material. So we have all these various parameters which needs to be controlled in, different temperatures, different environments, whether it's, winter in Minnesota versus, the middle of summer in Arizona. So our process and our machine or our software manages all of those parameters to make sure that the seals are made appropriately.
Right. You're not always
climatic conditions.
Yeah, you're not always in laboratory conditions when you're trying to seal something. Yeah,
sure.
What's the required pressure differential for maybe say that even if there's a difference between the materials in sealing ductwork versus buildings?
So it varies quite a bit. We start at a different pressure, can build up to a certain pressure. For ductwork, the pressure goes up in multiple inches of water column. For envelope, it is less because building envelope does not see the same pressure differential as the duct would see, right?
Yeah.
Commercial ducts can go up to, 10 inches of water.
Yeah, several inches of water. Yeah.
Right. So that's why the material is different. The process is different. To answer your question, it varies.
Yeah.
Right. And the software controls that given the conditions, given the ductwork or whatever the requirements are. Like, for example, even in ducts, it's not one process. If you do in ducts and you select commercial ductwork, that'll have a different algorithms to it. If you select residential ductwork, even in residential ductwork, if you select duct board, you'll have a different algorithm, right? Even if in commercial building you're selecting ductwork, which is masonry shaft of ventilation of a tall building, right? Then you'll have a different algorithm. So all these differences are all managed within the software.
Yeah, that makes sense. That was we do a little bit of work with commercial test and balance groups. And I was at an event in Florida earlier this year, and there was a company there that all they do is Aeroseal for commercial ductwork, which I didn't realize that was a market that you guys were in. And they say they stay pretty busy. And I know, the process for testing air leakage in commercial and residential is totally different. In commercial, they really just focus on the cabinet and the trunk line, and they disconnect the rest of the system, and you have to test it at a much higher pressure than we do at residential. So if you're going to use that product to seal, it kind of makes sense that you follow similar guidelines. If you're sealing a commercial duct system, is that about how it goes? Are you really just kind of focusing on those high pressure segments of the system, or do the rest of the branches get the same treatment?
So it depends what are the requirements for the commercial duct system, right? Of course, high pressure ductwork is tested on a different standard than a low pressure side after the VAV boxes, right? So depending on whatever we are doing, we can select that and software takes care of it. So we can seal all three types of ductwork in commercial buildings. All four types, I would say, right? Low side of the low pressure ductwork, high pressure ductwork, return ductwork, and then ventilation, right? All four of them are a little bit different.
So on the residential side, if you're going to seal a whole system, what's the preparation look like for that? So how would you prepare a duct system for Aeroseal?
It's almost like doing a duct blaster test. You put a tape, block off all the openings so you can pressurize the ductwork, and then block off the unit. For duct pressure test, you don't have to worry about blocking off the unit because, you're trying to capture the cabinet leakage as well.
Sure.
But for our system, you cannot go through the cabinet. So we have to block off the coil.
Right.
And that's the preparation.
That's not too intensive, really just, taking those supply and return plenums off and capping them off. And then I guess you just test each one separately. You maybe do the supply first and then the return.
In many cases, we can do both of them together.
Oh.
Because we can have a Y which separates the machine pressurizing as well as injecting the material into the ductwork. So we can do both the systems together, supply and return, both sides of the system. And it can be done now with our new machines, which have gotten much simpler, easier to use, much smaller systems. There was a time where we would need it almost like a small trailer to carry our equipment.
Oh, man.
Now we can use it in in a small van. Some people are even using it like a big or a minivan kind of, arrangement without the back seats and stuff, like what people use for blower door or
yeah, sure, okay, technician vans and stuff. What how long does it take to seal the ductwork and stuff? Like how quickly can someone get in and out of the job typically? I know it would vary enormously based on how complex the system is and everything, but kind of on average.
For one system home, people should be able to get in and out in 4.5 hours. 2 technicians. Now we will be launching a new system next year, which we are still working on, but we can cut that almost in half.
Wow.
So we're still working on it. Our goal is to, every time the equipment is being replaced, right? Go back to the original thesis of Carrier. Our goal is that our machine should be small enough, simple enough, that it should be part of every HVAC truck.
Yeah.
Like people should just have that machine. And if they're installing heat pumps, they're installing a high efficiency equipment, they should just seal the ductwork regardless of the system they are installing. That's the goal we are going after. Every time people are cleaning the ducts, why should they clean and not seal the ductwork?
Exactly.
And especially if we can do it in 2 hours, it should become standard part of doing the work.
Yeah, and in 2 hours, I mean, I'm not so sure that myself or anyone could go and seal every connection with bucket mastic on your typical system like that and actually do a good job. So that's
not only that it's the speed of doing the work, it is the access, right? You don't know where the leaks are. So now you can say, okay, I can do a smoke test and I can see where the main leakages are coming, right? Sometimes the whole attic is filled with smoke and okay, I don't know where it's coming out of, right? Then you have to actually, these ductworks are even hung up or they're over the insulation, there's insulation around it. With that insulation, the leakage where the smoke is even coming out, that's not exactly the point of leakage, right? The leakage could be further down. So now you have to unwrap the whole ductwork to say, okay, where is the leakage?
Yeah.
That's just, now you're talking, of course, you can get to the major connection points and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But you can get 30% of the leakage with that. All the other leakage points are close to impossible, if not impractical, I would say.
Yeah, with ducts in between floors. And sometimes you'll have a main return that might be spliced together inside a chase that you can't get to. So that access is definitely, not needing to, be able to access, hard to reach places is a key benefit. What's your recommendation? Not that this is ever a good scenario, but there's a lot of them out there. Sometimes part of the building cavity will be used as the duct system. So for example, maybe a floor cavity or wall cavity might be used as a return. Can you use Aeroseal on those kinds of spaces, or do you recommend just avoiding that, or what's your perspective on that?
In most cases, we are able to seal part of that, right? 50, 60, 70% leakage we can seal. So what happens is when we start our process, it is sealing all the small leaks first, right? Because as soon as it goes there, big leaks are taking time to fill the hole, but the small leaks are getting sealed very quickly, right? We start the process, and sometimes these leaks, those big leaks could be, especially in the wall cavity situation, could be bigger than 1/2 inch or bigger than 5/8 of an inch. So we seal over a period of time, like let's say 35 minutes, 40 minutes, and see where we are getting fast sealing. And then if it is flat lining, because the holes are taking a long time to seal, we might not be able to seal all the way, but we still can make dramatic improvement. Now, get back to zero leakage, now you're getting into impractical phase sometimes to go behind the wall to get to those big holes, right? Now, if they're really big holes or disconnection, it might very well be worth it, right? You can use thermal cameras, or you can use actually a camera to see if there is a big leakage or big disconnect. If not, you've made big improvements regardless of whether you get to 99% leakage reduction or 75% or 70% leakage reduction.
Yeah, is there opportunities for homeowners and things to use the Inflation Reduction Act is there incentives for the homeowners that they can use for getting their ductwork sealed with Aeroseal products?
Absolutely. You can take it's called 25C, I think, the tax credit. And you can take 30% of the cost of sealing the ductwork as a tax credit. So, if our dealers charge anywhere from $1,500, $1,600 to $2,500, $3,000, depending, it's a wide range because, some
every animal is
really
different.
big, right? Some houses are really small. Some have one system, some have two systems. So sometimes dealers have to drive further out. Sometimes it is. So the price varies just like with any other service work. But homeowners are able to take tax credit up to 30%. And on top of that, many utilities give incentives to seal air ducts. It could be $400, it could be $500. Put that together, it's a really strong proposition for a homeowner. Right? They should be able to see in most cases anywhere from 3-year payback after the incentives to 5-6-year payback. Again, depending on where the incentive levels are and what the prices is charging the homeowner.
Just in sense of energy savings, but then again, they could be now breathing clean air or whatnot too, or whatever. So it's like immediate benefit perhaps as well.
In most cases, the homeowner gets benefited from the energy savings, but the biggest benefit they get is what I hear mostly from the homeowner is, hey, my bedroom is finally getting some air. My bonus room has some air, right?
I'm finally comfortable in my home. It's like
right. I've been thinking about putting a second system or a duct-free in my bedroom, but
now I don't
need to do that, right? Or better control of humidity in the home. I mean, how many homes have you been to where you see in kids' bedroom there is a humidifier, right? Because kids have those dry eyes and dry nose. Or you have room heaters in the room because you just can't have the good temperature balance in the room, in the house, right? So those are the, much more intangible, but much more real benefits for the homeowner. And, when homeowner sees, okay, I'll finally get my home to be, either comfortable or better air quality, healthier home, but it pays for itself. I mean, now the value proposition is really strong.
Yeah, we've worked in home performance for a long time, and I think one thing that we've learned along the way is, at least for the for-profit side for homeowners, it's usually going to be a comfort or indoor air quality problem that's going to cause them to pay for the service before it'll be an energy problem, because people just kind of get used to what they pay in energy bills, unless it's like really high or something crazy changed out of that pattern. Usually it's going to be something like that. And I live in the Southeast. So we put duct systems outside of our building enclosure almost every time, even still today in new construction homes. It's either in a hot vented attic or it's in a vented musty crawl space down below. And and now, since COVID times, more and more people are working from home, and I think they're paying more attention to how their homes are making them feel. And I think one thing that I appreciate about what Aeroseal is doing is that they're targeting duct cleaning companies to help provide this as a service, because I get asked that a lot by our HVAC customers is, what do you think about duct necessary? And I think a lot of times, no, unless you're going to seal it, you have to stop the problem at the source, and the source is at the air leaks of the duct system, especially if it's outside of the envelope. And so getting duct cleaning companies to think about this, I think, is a huge plus for the industry and for homeowners in general. So, yeah.
That is true. That is true. I mean, HVAC guys are also looking at it, right? Because if you think of the return air in your environment, right? If the return air have leakage, I think 30% or 40% leakage in the return air, actually you're heating the home rather than cooling the home, because you're taking that much more hot air from 120, 140 degrees attic, right?
Yeah.
And even if you're mixing it back to the rest of the 60, 70% air coming from the home, overall, the kind of humidity you're introducing, the kind of hot air you're introducing from outside, it is air conditioners have to work significantly more to make the homes comfortable. And if it is more leakage, then running the air conditioner is actually heating the home, not cooling the home.
Yeah.
Because you're introducing hotter air from outside.
A lot of the times in those scenarios too, the filter is in the ceiling rather than at the unit. So as it's leaking on the return side, it's pulling in, debris from blown cellulose or blown fiberglass insulation, and then it goes right into the system and gets distributed out throughout the supply side. So Yeah, that's just a huge indoor air quality penalty if you don't have a tight return.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of homeowner in Southwest uses us because of the dust control, because of the same thing, right? If you filter at the intake, then if there is any leakage, you'll just
goes right on through. Yeah.
So from the beginning, was it always the idea that you would move from doing just duct work to residential? And then curious about like on maybe the commercial side, like what's the largest building that you could seal? Like, we have a big leaky warehouse here, maybe like that. I just wonder.
We have done very large buildings. So we're talking still ducts, right? So ducts, we have done building as big as MetLife building or, these are extremely large buildings we're talking about, right? I mean, the ductwork the size of you can literally drive a small car in the ductwork. So that's the duct side. We've done lots of big hospitals. So we have any size building, almost, we can say we have done. The biggest hospital we did for ducts was actually in Doha, Qatar. So if you look up Sidra Medical Center, it is one of the largest hospitals in all of Middle East. We have Aeroseal work done in almost all the ductwork. Like, I think there were close to 400 people working there.
Oh, wow.
Sealing ductwork with Aeroseal.
Wow.
Oh, man.
So that's the size of the ductwork we're talking about. Now, building envelope side, we are generally working on the smaller units like homes or apartments, but we are we have done some work. We're not focusing on it yet, but we have done some very large commercial buildings as well. I think we did some work with B&G. We did some warehousing. We have done the whole building envelope, right? So we can do pretty large buildings for building envelope as well.
And Aeroseal is worldwide now too, right? Like the exponential growth since we first met. There's Aeroseals happening in almost every country now, or like
not really. So if you Google, I tell everyone, if they Google duct sealing, Aeroseal will show up organically 1, 2, or 3, right? Because other than mastic or tapes, there are no alternate solution for existing buildings. So we have been approached by many of the people who are looking for solutions for existing buildings, and they have, deployed the Aeroseal machines for their markets. So our machines are in now over 34 different countries.
Oh, wow.
Wow. And on the envelope side, is it still called Aero Barrier, or have you guys transitioned to a different name?
Well, it is. The system is called Aero Barrier. The solution is called Aeroseal Envelope.
Okay.
So we are figuring out what is the best way to build a brand.
Yeah,
sure.
We are focusing on building Aeroseal as a brand and as a solution. So Aeroseal Duct and Aeroseal Envelope.
Okay.
So those are the two solutions we have.
If you do a home, like, do you have to like move out all the furniture and everything, or what happens to the aerosol after the application is performed? Like it all gets vented out of the majority of it gets vented out after the sealing application is done, or?
So it's almost, if you can imagine painting the house, right? So we put the painter's poly over the furniture and all that. And so we have to prep the house. You have to take out, most of the stuff from the walls. So it is a little bit involved process for existing homes.
Yeah.
But primarily our work is done in new construction. And we are also doing work at the time of tenant change out or the homeowners moving in and out. Right? So those are the two ideal time for us to do the work. But once needed or when needed, we can also do the work in the existing homes, but only as an exception. Right?
Yeah,
that's not what we're doing. 99.9% of our work is in new construction and the change out time.
And if a home builder wants to become an Aeroseal envelope installer, what's the process for that? Do they just reach out to you directly?
Possibly, and we do work with some home builders, but these are primarily smaller home builders who are building 50, 100 homes. Right? But for any other home builder, we work with all the national builders now. We are Horton, Lennar, Pulte, Toll. Now, some of that work we can do direct. So we have direct offices now across the country. And we also have a dealer channel, independent contractors who we have as certified dealers. So when the builder calls us, if we don't have a presence there, or we want our dealer to do the work, or dealer has an already existing relationship with the builder, that dealer is the right person to, or the right entity to provide the service to the builder. But mostly builders are much more interested in the speed of getting the work done, right? So they're not providing the service. They're not hiring people to do insulation. They don't have insulation crew. They don't have air sealing crew, for example. So we provide them the service. That's much more scalable than they try to do it themselves.
I've had a few custom home builders in my area ask me if I knew what that process was. And like a lot of them want to be able to do it for their own projects, but then also offer it as a service to other builders as well. So,
well, they can call us. We'll be happy to work with them.
Okay. That's been my answer. So I'm glad I've been telling them the right thing. Just reach out to them directly.
On your website, then, do you have like a list of dealers for like if end user consumer is interested in getting their home sealed, then you have like a map of dealers, or how would someone search it out?
Yeah, so if you go to aeroseal.com and you can go and say, I think there is a HVAC dealers residential, you will find them. If you click on that, that will give you looking for my Find a Pro, right? If you click on that, that's
okay. Yeah, excellent. I'm just curious too, like if you could go back in time and like give yourself some advice when you're first starting off with the company and everything, what would you tell yourself? Like what's any kind of growth like that's occurred that or challenges that you faced that within the company that
the only advice I would give is most entrepreneurs are considered to be risk takers from outside.
Yeah, like calculated risk would be like.
Right. But from the inside, they also need a lot of courage. Right? They're always afraid of going out of business. They're always afraid of things not working out. That would be my advice to every entrepreneur. Right? Sometimes believe in your mission and vision more than anybody else. Right? Just lean into it.
Yeah. No,
in most cases, it will work out, right? We need more courage.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's usually more excuses not to do something than to do something. And it's always easy for us to find those and pay attention to those. But, it's good to remind ourselves that we're trying to do something good for a reason.
And I wish I would have raised money sooner, right? Rather than bootstrapping it for 10 years. It's hard to say looking back, right?
Yeah.
Things have been really worked out for us.
What's amazing.
If I have to say, it'll be more courageous.
Okay.
Continue to lean in.
Yeah,
enjoy the journey more than the destination.
Yeah.
We're so focused on arriving someplace, right? That we spend so much time arriving there. That is also life, right? That is also the 20 years you build something. You got to be enjoying that journey as well. Not just year 21, you build something, now you start saying, okay,
now things are good. Exactly.
It's always a struggle for us to live in the present. Sometimes we're always thinking about what could happen ahead or what happened behind us. And it's hard for us to kind of sit in the moment.
Yeah. Well, I did have like the opportunity just a couple of weeks ago to visit your facility there, and it's really amazing. And I get the chance to meet with the engineering team, who are all super bright individuals and everything. It's it's an amazing work that you guys have done over the years, and appreciate the partnership and everything. And just a joy to get to know you and get the chance to work with you on this stuff, and really kind of make an impact out there and make a difference.
Of course, and I enjoy our partnership as well. We've known each other for over a decade, and many a times I just feel like I can just call you, right? Remember there was something going on in Dallas, and I said, hey, something is not working here, right?
You guys are doing a blower door test, and there was like a question about range configuration settings or something like that.
Right. And, I feel like I can call you as a friend, if, not just a partner. So,
and I think I answered it was only the half of the first ring I answered, I think.
So it's been an amazing partnership. And, our missions are very much aligned.
Oh, definitely.
We believe that we should build better. What we are building lasts for decades to come.
Yeah.
If we can build it better, the benefit accrues not just to the homeowner, but the benefit accrues to the overall society for decades to come, right?
Yeah.
And that's a great mission.
Yeah, the whole planet.
The houses are only going to, we can still do significantly better. My personal story, my wife is from Norway. I know how the houses are built in Norway, and I think the U.S. can still improve tremendously, right?
Yeah.
Now, course, there is a balance for affordability, and there is a balance of the overall benefit which accrues to society. That has to be a balance, but I think we can do better.
Yeah,
we can do better. And with scale, some of the challenges and the costs will come down as well, right? What seems too expensive today could be a normal cost, right? I mean, we don't say airbags shouldn't be installed in the car because it's too expensive, right? We don't. We don't talk about seat belts that way. The benefits to the society is much bigger than the cost of doing it.
Yeah, no, most definitely.
Well, especially if you're taking duct sealing installs from 4 hours down to 2.
Yeah, right.
It's only going to keep getting better from then on. So that's going to help it become a regular thing, because I think, what a lot of the pushback that we're getting from our codes to evolve to catch up with what they're doing over there in Europe is just that resistance to change. That a lot of the builders are they get comfortable doing things a certain way, and anything that throws a wrench into that, they just see as an expense. So it's good to be able to have technology like yours to kind of show how it can be achieved.
Yeah, I mean, we should. I'm compassionate about that point of view, right? That builders also have to do things at speed, at cost, so they can be profitable and they can also drive value out of what they're building. And what I try to bring to builders is the viewpoint that if you can change the way we are doing things, we can do whatever we are doing today significantly more efficiently, significantly more effectively, right? For example, if you want to build a home with 1 air changes per hour, the builders will say it's impossible because you can't caulk enough. It'll take hours and hours of labor. Yeah. If you have to test it, it'll cost us, they'll say $10,000, right? Pick a number to do it consistent. What we have to bring to their attention and build confidence that technology is constantly evolving, right? And technology can rapidly get better. I mean, you can only get better with caulking so much, right? Because it's a manual process. I mean, you can dig a ditch and your pickaxe could only become so much better that you can keep digging the ditch so much better. But if you start putting excavators instead of digging ditch by hand, now you can ditch, you can move mountains, right? One person. And overall cost reduces for doing that. I mean, just in last 4 years, our aero barrier process have improved by 300%.
Oh, wow.
And we'll continue to improve that, right? Every time the work is done, our software learns from what is happening in the field and we make better algorithms. We improve and improve, not only just by making the machine smaller, but also faster and easier to do. Just like with duct sealing, I'm saying we'll go from 4 hours to 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that technology enabling manual labor or enhancing the manual labor, I wouldn't say replacing the manual labor, right, is the key for us to do better and better every day.
Yeah, I just think that, if you've made the process, more efficient, then perhaps you can, do more work really so you can be more effective. And how many homes or buildings or ductwork that you can seal in a given week or whatnot.
And not to mention the trade-offs that are there too from building a tighter house. If you build a tighter house, you reduce the load. You don't need as many mechanicals in there to keep it comfortable. And then plus too, a lot of the callbacks that builders are getting are moisture related. And a lot of that moisture comes in from the outside through air leaks. And so if we're able to build tighter, more durable houses, they get less callbacks. So in a way, it's cheaper to build that way in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, we have proven to builders that if you right-size your equipment, you'll save money there, right? Of course, you don't have to do all the manual sealing. With your warranty costs, in the time it takes to build the home, because you'll have no failures. But every time there is a failure, you have to go and correct the house too, right? Yeah. Plus, all the manual catch-up work they have to do. I mean, I've literally seen supervisors of the builder carrying, walking around with a caulk gun, just hanging from the tool belt. And all they do is every time they try to spray or they try to caulk, right? But that's not a consistent and good way to build a home, right? Yeah. We replace all of that. You save money by using aero barrier, not, so, I mean, that's the benefit of the technology.
Yeah.
Yeah. Repeatability.
Yeah. My brother-in-law is a custom home builder, and he says that's his least favorite activity is going around caulking the building. So it's like
just call aero barrier. Just call Aeroseal.
One scenario that I always thought the air barrier would be a huge benefit for, we do a lot of work with the fire industry, doing enclosure integrity. And so, making sure that that fire suppressant agent is going to retain at a certain level for a certain time, to protect servers, control rooms, and things like that. Well, I mean, if you could just use air barrier and control the air tightness, and then you control your vents that open up at a certain time, I mean, it just has always made sense to me that those two would go hand in hand together.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, really.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, Amit, I just sincerely appreciate your time today and everything. Like, it's a pleasure to have you on here. You're one of our first guests on the podcast and everything.
Yeah.
So,
and probably be the only one for a while where Ben and I are actually in the same room.
Yeah,
instead of on the opposite end of the country from each other.
No, it was great. I just got back from Dublin. I saw Mark Moderna there for an AIVC conference and everything. Yeah, so it's good to still see him out there and everything, and still surviving from some jet lag from traveling home yesterday and everything. But yeah,
this is a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for coming on and chatting with us. This has been great.
And I wish you guys the best of success, and really admire everything you guys are doing there.
Well, thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you always, and hopefully we can keep nudging the industry to move forward.
Definitely.
Yeah,
and do something really worthwhile and leave our mark in some way. So
yeah, exactly.
I love it.
Exactly. All right. Awesome.
All right,
well,
pleasure.
yeah. Thank you, Amit.
Yeah, thanks again.
Thank you.